This is the Torker Tristar Hybrid. It's an electric trike for adults. It's set up to be very stable. You can see that it's got 3 wheels. Unlike a tadpole design, which is where the wheels are in front, this one's a little bit more maneuverable. You've got a more traditional, kind of a narrow, just down tube right here with these great upright, little bit swept back bars, ergonomic grips, enormous, comfortable XLC saddle that's pretty adjustable. It's a 300 millimeter seat post that's in there, I think 28.6 diameter. I'll have all the specs back at the site. And I want to mention that I don't think this bike is in production anymore. It's 2016 right now, and they're probably still floating around at some shops in the United States. So you might be able to find one from last season or maybe at a garage sale. I just wanted to cover this sort of for fun because I think there are going to be more trikes eventually coming out with electric assist. And I just think it's a neat platform for someone who doesn't have the same balance or athleticism. And they might be concerned about just a standard 2-wheel bicycle. Maybe they've considered the kind of the big adult training wheels, but you're maybe not ready to go for a rascal or like a scooter kind of thing. Those are actually really expensive and really heavy, maybe not quite as capable as this for going off-road or taking to the grocery store. Coming back to the price, I saw one of these online for $17.99, so I'm not sure about the original MSRP, but I think we can imagine under $2,000. This is possibly more of an upgraded version. It's got a Sturmey Archer 3-speed internally geared hub, SRC3 version 2 back there, and then here's the twist grip gear changer, which is really neat. You can change gears at standstill. You do have to, it's a little bit more firm in my experience, and maybe it's just because the cable's going a little bit further down here, but that's where the actual gear changing happens right there. So very cool. The reason I like that is because this bike is a little bit heavier. It's about 81 pounds with the battery. A lot of the electric bikes, 2-wheel electric bicycles that I test, they're only like 50 to 60 pounds. So there's extra 20 pounds. I think some of that is the basket, the extra wheels that are going on. It's a steel frame, which is going to be really sturdy and durable, possibly for a larger rider or just, carrying a bunch of extra stuff. The fork is steel, which is nice because you do have a motor at the front, and the motor adds a little bit of forces, but this one is not incredibly strong. You can see it says Protanium on the side, AXI. 250 watts is what I was told. I don't actually see markings on this. I've gone online. I've done the best I can in terms of research. I think that sounds about right. I'm not sure if that might be like the peak output. It might be like 180 to 250. It's not super powerful. The bike does not go super fast. I think I've been hitting maybe like 10, maybe 15 miles per hour when I'm pedaling, but the motor eventually just kind of and you stop hearing it, and it's really not giving you much boost anymore. You see a lot of the cables and stuff are just zip tied to the frame, not super fancy. A lot of the electric bikes I test that are in the higher price ranges, and I think across the board now as they're becoming more popular, they have integrated wires, and that keeps this mess from, kind of adding to the frame and potentially getting snagged. See how close that is to the fender. So it's really nice when you can go that route. But coming back to a trike like this, there just really aren't many options out there. So it's nice that this exists at all. So anyway, there's the hub motor. I like that they went with 13 gauge spokes in the front, so that's a little bit thicker, a little bit sturdier. 14 gauge in the rear. And while we're on that, appears to be just aluminum rim, and this is a 24 by 1.75 inch tire. Sort of a hybrid tire with a stripe down the middle, so it's not going to be like buzz, kind of buzzing. This is really meant for neighborhood riding. Pretty smooth, a little bit narrower on the front, and then these really fat tires at the rear. These are 20 by 2.125, so 24 and 20, and these are all smaller than a lot of the bikes I see, and that brings the whole frame down close to the ground. It actually gives the motor a mechanical advantage because it's not having to push quite so hard and leverage this huge wheel. So it's just great. It's a really good choice, I think, in terms of the frame and the wheels. And it looks like these are Innova tires, and they have that sort of stripe down the middle as well. So I kind of come towards the back. You'll notice that there aren't any fenders on the rear wheels, but there are mounting points right there, so you could add fenders. What I found is that when you're sitting in the middle, even if there is a little bit of water, it doesn't really hit you unless it's windy. That might be like blowing into the side of you. It's nice that they have a steel fender up front though, and it's got these struts, support arms. I also like that they chose to add a little, Tristar Hybrid. They've got a little chain guard right there. Standard Welgo plastic pedals. This could get a little bit slippery if it's wet out. So just, keep that in mind. But again, this whole thing's pretty stable. I love the ergonomic grips and just the riser bar. It's pretty easy to appreciate this thing just walking it around. It almost like a walker or something. You can kind of stabilize your whole body using the bike. Like it's sturdy. It's not really going anywhere. And at those lower speeds, again, you shouldn't have too many problems with the bike, like tipping or anything. And the turning radius is pretty impressive. See, the bar goes all the way, so you can just spin it around in a circle like that. One of the other things I noticed earlier is that the trike was sort of rolling away because it's on a slant right here. And so they've actually got this cool kind of parking brake built in where you just pull the brake lever and then you push down on that metal thing and it locks it out. So now it's not going to go anywhere. And that's back to those linear pull brakes. Some of the things I've struggled with here are the cadence sensor. This is only a 5 magnet sensor, so you can see the little silver dots in there. That's not a whole lot. A lot of the newer electric bikes have like 12 magnet sensors, or at least 6. 5 means that you have to, more time spent pedaling. And then the other interesting thing is that it almost seems like you have to use the trigger throttle in conjunction with pedal assist for the bike to actually go. So when I'm pedaling, it's like starting from zero, I don't really get any help. It's all me pedaling. So that's what's great about this shifter. Again, you can shift it, stand still, take it down to first gear, start your pedaling, and then the motor ramps up. It gives you the support. Again, not a lot of support, not a lot of capacity either. We look at the battery pack. This is a Protanium pack, lithium ion polymer, and it's 26.6 volts with 10 amp hours of capacity. I weighed this earlier. It's only 5.5 pounds, which is kind of nice, but that's because it's just there's not a lot of capacity in this thing. You're not going to get the same kind of range. And again, if the motor's just sort of sipping on it, don't expect this thing to pull you up any hills or really move you. You still got to work. And really the whole time I was riding, I had to pedal, which is a good workout. It's a good stretch and healthy. It's easier than a non-electric trike, but it wasn't quite as satisfying as maybe it could have been. So this is how you mount the battery right back here. You kind of slide it in. One thing I've had issues with is the edges of this basket. So this is steel, kind of a mesh, and it's sort of sharp. I've actually cut myself twice today. So you can see there's like a nick on my thumb and then on the inside of my finger because I was sort of, pushing on this. And the battery doesn't fit in there super well. I don't know if I would complain about this quite as much if you could charge the battery while it was on the bike, but you have to take it off every time. And that's just inconvenient. I mean, I'm bent way down right now. My knees sort of start to hurt when I squat down like this. And the whole point of having an electric trike is like mobility and assistance and stability. And so to have to take the battery off every time is a huge negative to me. And there's also this like pull down thing. So you have to pull that down and then you have to somehow force the battery in there and it gets hung up on the plastic right there. It's difficult. Okay, so I pull down on this thing. There we go. Got it in there. And then I have to twist this key and it's just like a bar. It just kind of pushes into the arm of the battery. It just kind of squishes those electrodes together. And then over here you got to put the battery back in and then turn it to on, and the keys stay in there. And in this case, it's not terrible because you won't forget the keys and they're way back here. They're not going to get in your way. But a lot of times I like to be able to take the keys with me. So again, it's a little bit mixed. So the battery is in. Let's talk a little bit about the charger. It's a really cute little thing. Protanium, 2.17 amps. So, it's a little bit slower, but it's not a huge battery. So maybe expect 4 to 5 hours to charge this thing. Really lightweight, weighs less than a pound. You can just toss it in that basket and take it with you if you wanted to. So maybe this is a good time to hop on and do a little demo ride. Okay, so we just turned on that battery. You can see that the display is lit up with those LEDs. It's just got 4 green LEDs that help you determine how full the battery is. I believe it's just measuring voltage. There is an on-off switch here, so you can ride this just like a traditional bike and feel like you're not, using the battery. Go ahead and turn it on again. So this is what I was talking about. I was hoping that I would just push the throttle and the thing would go, and I could just sit down and relax. And in fact, my body position right now, I'm not getting like great leg extension because I'm sort of set up a little bit more like a cruiser, a little bit more relaxed. With trikes and stuff, that just seems to be the style. It's a little bit more comfortable, but it just doesn't make for the best sort of riding. So again, in order to make this thing operate, what I'm going to have to do is start pedaling. Okay, pedaling, it's all me right now. You can You hear a little bit of motor coming on, just very gently, but only when I'm pedaling. And then if I want to get full motor power, I actually have to use the throttle with pedal assist. So here we go. And it goes for a little while on its own, but then it cuts off when it realizes I stopped pedaling. So that's what I mean. It's just, it's a little bit more involved, and maybe that's for safety or something. You know, I could imagine that after maybe 10 miles of using this, if you went that distance, your finger would start to feel a little bit like, okay, I'd like to not have to push that throttle. But again, coming back to those 3 speeds, that's a lifesaver here, because in the lowest assist, you start to spin pretty quickly. So being able to shift up like this, just click it up again. Now I'm feeling more comfortable and I can hit those higher speeds. That's about it. This is like max speed right now. Not really sure how fast I'm going because there's no fancy display or anything. Again, better than if I didn't have any assist. It definitely takes the edge off the weight of this thing and just some of the inefficiency. You know, you can still see that if I turned hard, whoa, I'm getting that wheel up off the ground, whoa. So it's not perfect, but it's still way more stable than a regular bike. Also, you've got a front brake here with a motor inhibitor, so at any time if you start to feel unstable, if you pull that brake, it's gonna kill the motor. And that's nice, just RTEC standard linear pull. And then you've got coaster brakes. So that means if I just go backwards, look at that, got some skid marks going on. You just jam that brake down. It's like when you're a kid, you know, and you had I had a Huffy, so when I was riding it, I just go and skid. And as someone who might have a little bit less dexterity in their hands and maybe not that arm strength, being able to use your legs to stop is awesome. But it does mean you can't pedal backwards. So, I don't know, keep that in mind. That's been an overview of the Torker Tristar e-Trike. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to chime in if you have one of these, you have anything to share that maybe I missed. And I hope to review some more electric trikes in the future. I think this is a great technology, and even if this one's not perfect, it's a little bit underpowered and stuff, and like, you know, the basket a little bit sharp and the battery and stuff, it's still great to get out there and exercise and pedal and stretch. And I know we're gonna see, you know, improved versions in the future. So yeah, ride safe. I'll see you back at the site for the full ride up with all the details and some more pictures, ElectricBikeReview.com. See you there.